Interment will be at Mount Hope Cemetery. The family of Leonard S. Simon will gather for Shiva. Shiva House will be at 85 Toby Court in Pittsburgh. And they will gather Sunday, May 11th from 2 to 4, 7 to 9. Monday, the 12th from 2 to 4, 7 to 9. Tuesday, May 13th from 2 to 4 and 7 to 9. And the last day will be Wednesday, the 14th from 2 to 4 and 7 to 9 for Shiva. If you further wish to honor the memory of Leonard S. Simon, you may do so by making contributions to the Simon Endowment for Jewish Family Life Education at the Jewish Family Services of Rochester, to the ALS Association, to Temple Bethel, and to the charity of your choice. We're ready to begin with Psalms. It's my honor to call upon Cantor Liz Berkey to join me in the recitation of Psalm 121 and then the 23rd Psalm.
Shir lemalot esa enai el harim me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim aretz Ayiten lamot raglecha Ayano yanum shomrecha Yanum velo yishan Shomei Yisrael Adonai shomrecha Adonai tzilcha yad yaminecha Yomam Hashemesh lo yakeka, yareach balayla. Adonai yishmorcha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzedcha uvoecha, me'ata v'yad olam.
A song for sense. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. Adonai will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your protection, a guardian at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm and guard your life. Adonai guards your going and coming, now and forever.
Please join us for the recitation of the 23rd Psalm on page 197 of the blue Sidurim in front of you. Page 197.
Adonai roi lo echsar
God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God gives me repose in green meadows.
Al mei menuchot, yenaleini.
God guides me over the calm waters.
Nafshi yeshovev yeshovev. Yancheini b'maglei tzedek, Yancheini b'maglei tzedek, leman shemo.
God will revive my spirit and direct me on the right path, for that is God's way.
Gam ki elech begeitz al mavet, Lo hirarak yata imadi.
Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are at my side.
Shivtecha umishantecha, himayinachamuni.
Your staff and your rod comfort me.
Aroch lefanai lefanai, Shulchan neged tzorerai.
You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes.
Dishanta vashemen roshi, kosi revaya.
You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows.
Achtu v'chesed yirefuni, koyemei chayai, koyemei chayai.
Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life.
V'shavti beveit Adonai leorech yamim.
And I shall dwell in the house of God forever. It is now my honor to call upon the first group coming together of speakers, children, Cantalis Berkey, Kathy Simon, Jonathan Simon, and Jennifer Dagstader.
At some point, Dad learned about setting an intention. It may have been at Toastmasters. Before Kiddush on Shabbat, we would stand around the table, and one of us was tasked with choosing a reading from this book, Likrat Shabbat. Our stomachs were rumbling. We could smell the delicious food Mom had made, or maybe that Dad had grilled out. We rotated between a few readings, but most often, being a musical family, we landed on one called The Pauses Between the Notes, based on a quote attributed to Artur Schnabel. This week, it's Kathy's turn to read. I invite you to relax into this pause we are experiencing. Through our stories and memories, take in the wonderful life and lessons learned from our dad, Leonard S. Simon.
Before I start, I just want to say, Dad, it was a blessing to be your children. A great pianist was once asked by an ardent admirer, "How do you handle the notes as well as you do?" The artist answered, "The notes I handle no better than many pianists, but the pauses between the notes, that is where the art resides." In great living, as in great music, the art may be in the pauses. Surely one of the enduring contributions which Judaism made to the art of living was the Shabbat, the pause between the notes. And it is to the Shabbat that we must look if we are to restore to our lives the sense of serenity and sanctity which Shabbat offers in such joyous abundance.
I may be reading this next part, this next tribute, but this is from all of us. Hello, hello, hello. For those of you who weren't lucky enough to have received that greeting from my father, from our father, every now and then, well, I wanted to start with one of a zillion fond memories of our dad. There was almost always a lilt and a kick to his tone and conversation. It was how he approached life, with optimism, hope, curiosity, and a bit of adventure. In honor of that, I'm wearing one of the many pair of wild socks. For those that didn't see it on this side. I'm wearing one of the many pair of wild socks he used to wear all the time. It was just one of the many ways he found to express himself. I'm sure I'm not exaggerating when I say there isn't a person in this room or listening on the stream who hasn't been gently, beautifully, and profoundly touched by Leonard Simon. While we are all brokenhearted today, we're also here to celebrate a truly extraordinary person and a life amazingly lived. For the last couple of days, my sisters and I have been reflecting on the many different dimensions of our dad. Here are a few thoughts and highlights in no particular order. He was an industrial engineer from the University of Michigan, just like me. My mom and dad started a family tradition that has created over 27 Michigan alums throughout the years. As a quick aside, I have to throw this in here right now. Dad, I know you'll approve. He went out with a streak of 4 Michigan wins over Ohio State, a national championship a couple years ago, and frankly, it doesn't get much better than that. Dad was curious. He never stopped growing, learning and improving himself. While he didn't have to give many speeches, he joined the Toastmasters to improve his public speaking, and all of us remember him sitting in front or standing in front of a mirror. They had a 3-way mirror in their bedroom, and he stood in front of that mirror with a timer. He used to have to give a 3-minute speech, and he had to get this speech, whatever esoteric topic he was assigned, he had to get it down to 3 minutes, and we remember him just working on this and getting his public speaking together. He loved the arts, music, especially opera and theater, with my mother. He even went back to taking piano lessons in his 40s. We remember competing for piano time every now and then for a while when he wanted to practice. He was a true gentleman. Once you got to know him, you'd realize that they just don't make people like this anymore. Dad was such a careful person, wanting to do the right thing, the right way, down to still balancing his checkbook, which he was doing 10 days ago with Jennifer, sitting at the dining room table, reading off the numbers, making sure that every penny, that the checkbook balanced right down to the penny. We were here just a couple weeks ago to celebrate our Uncle Gene's 90th birthday, and it was such a joy that, and such a blessing that we got to be with him, all he was, just a few days ago. Our father was such a kind and gentle soul. I have a hard time recalling moments when he raised his voice or became angry. He was a bit more short-tempered recently. Most of that was only due to his frustration that he wasn't able to get through this condition and keep living the life the way he and my mother have always lived their lives, with gusto and joy and beauty. Joie de vivre. Our father would find joy and happiness in the most simple things. Here's an example. About 2 years ago, I started calling my parents every day, usually on the way home from work around dinner time. I can't count the number of times my dad would almost immediately share his excitement at what was for dinner that night. It was usually a leftover or something my mother often prepared, and he would review the entire menu as if he were about to sit down at a Michelin star restaurant. He was so excited about just that simple pleasure. Leonard loved life. Leonard loved life. Simple things like reading a book next to Mom on a Cabo beach, playing a card game with one of his grandchildren, listening to the Tales of Hoffman during a Saturday afternoon broadcast of the Metropolitan Opera, having a Shabbat dinner with his family, or just conversing with us, his children, his grandchildren, nephews, nieces, and friends. Dad is one of only a handful of people I know who has truly been adored and loved by everyone who got to know him. And he reciprocated that love and adoration right back. He was such a good listener. He would process what you said and take his time to respond. Such a rare quality. He always tried to find a solution that everyone could accept and get behind, rarely, if ever, forcing his opinion or idea, and instead finding a way to compromise when there was a difference of opinion. He was so proud of managing and building the company his father Julius started with Harry Germano in 1916. First with Irving and Leon Germano, then for many years with the third generation. First me for a couple years, and then over 30 years with Kathy, who's now the proud owner of the family business. I could go on and on. I wanted to save his greatest joy for last, his family. Starting with my mother, we met at Michigan after dating just about every girl in Rochester, who he was married to my mom for over 71 years. He truly adored you, Mom. You know that. Truly, truly. Such an example for all of us. The life and family they built together is a true testament to their forever love. First shared with the four of us, then with his 11 grandchildren, and then even remotely with his first great-grandchild, our first great-grandchild, our grandchild, Eli, was born in January. I did some of this at 4 a.m., most of it yesterday. Mom, you didn't get to read this part. My mother wanted to read all this first. She had a couple notes that are included, but Mom, sorry, you'll get some of this later. There's so many other stories and wonderful qualities. I could really be here for a long time. The rabbi joked yesterday when we met that, he's seen 2 and 3 hour, celebrations and ceremonies. It won't be that, but I could go on. There's so many other stories and wonderful qualities I could share. He was so sharp, right to the end. He and my mother loved to travel and explore, a quality they instilled in all of us. He loved photography. Boy, did he love taking pictures. Speaking of photography, over 65 years ago, our dad and mom started a tradition that almost all of you, I think, have been able to share in. The annual Simon New Year's card. This combined their love of family, celebration of the Jewish tradition and New Year, and rebirth, along with the desire to nurture their ever-growing circle of family and of friends. What started as a little black and white set of 3 headshots, me, little baby me, Mom and Dad, ended up this way, over 28 of us, Mom and Dad in the middle, 4 grand dogs as well, this year. They were a little late in getting it out. I think some of you are still expecting them. My mom's got a big stack, and they'll be coming if you haven't received them already. In closing, we celebrate our father, Father Leonard. In one sense, the world is truly diminished now. In another sense, the world is truly enhanced because all of us who he touched in so many ways will cherish his memory and strive to live, to love, as he did for each and every day of his incredible 94 years.
Thank you, Liz, Kathy, Jonathan, and Jennifer. We're doing this under half an hour. It is our second group of the grandchildren now that are invited to speak. Alex, Eda, Benjamin, Zoe, Jacob, Michael, Eden, and Aviva.
Grandpa, or Gramps as many of us called him, is a clear example of life happens in between the big moments. He did some wonderful, big, impressive things in life. Traveled the world with Bubby, was the CEO of GS Supplies, volunteered at Rochester City Schools, and so much more. But to us grandchildren, it was all of the little moments that made up Grandpa. He led by example. He was a kind and patient presence, welcoming and friendly to all those he met, service workers, those he met on travels, those he volunteered with, and community members. He was curious about the world, curious about our lives, always asking about our hobbies, jobs, relationships, and the cities we lived in. We were so lucky growing up to be able to witness one of the most beautiful and gentle love stories through Grandpa's love for Bubby. He looked at Bubby every day with a smile, joy, and such overwhelming, pure love, and it taught us what to look for in a life partner. Gramps helped to create a large family, 4 children, 11 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, 6 nieces and nephews, and so many others. They called him Uncle Len. No matter how you were related to us, or if you were related to us at all, you were always welcomed in our family.
Gramps was a constant presence in the lives of his grandchildren, showing up to sports, performances, band concerts, graduations, both near and far. We got to witness his artistic eye and appreciation for the beauty in life whenever we scored the lucky chance to sit next to him at his computer, as he enthusiastically shared the stories behind the endless photographs he'd loved to take on his travels and in everyday life. For those who grew up outside of Rochester, holidays became the most exciting part of the year, because it meant that they could come stay at Bubby and Grandpa's house, spending much of the time cooking and eating food, playing card games and word games in between. And for those of us lucky enough to have grown up in Rochester, we got to spend every Friday night Shabbat dinner with his booming voice leading us in Shalom Aleichem and telling us with both voice and arm movements to sing a bit slower.
During the summer, Bubby and Grandpa would spend the weekends at their cottage on Canandaigua Lake, where many of us would spend the most joyous weekends of our childhoods and adulthoods. Gramps would lead Saturday lunch kiddush outside on the deck, conducting the lake to sing along with us, prompting the motorboats and birds to join in. We are so grateful to have spent summers at the lake grilling, swimming, playing gin, losing at gin, and of course, helping with a number of odd jobs around the house. Whether it was replacing the water filter, looking for mice, moving deck furniture, shoveling shale, sweeping the acorns, or chopping down branches to make sure Bubs had the best view of the water, everything you did was selfless and caring. We can only hope to emulate those traits in life. Grandpa gave the best hugs in the world, with an extra tight squeeze at the end that made each of us feel special and loved. He was proud of us, but also pushed us to advance in our jobs, engage with our hobbies, and give back to our community. We can only hope to grow into the people that Grandpa always knew that we could be. Thank you, Gramps. We are so grateful and lucky to be your grandchildren. We'll miss you every day.
I cry through this little poem that I wrote and push this off the stage. With knee pads on and hammer in hand, he strides up the many steps, in leader's command. We find a nail here and a nail there, many that need to be repaired. This is quite exhausting, a little Etta declared. But we follow and we mimic as Grandpa floats about the lake house every weekend in the summer with his favorite person, our Bubby, his spouse. We fed him his pills. He beat us at gin. There's no way, ever, he would let us win. How lucky are we, his grandchildren and all. His twinkle and smile will carry us on.
Thank you, Alex, Ida, Zoe, Jacob, Michael, Eden, and Aviva. In a vivid and memorable statement, our sages utilize the phrase describing the type of personality that Judaism values. They tell us, Kol hamorit dema'ot al adam kasher, hakadosh baruch hu sofram mehinam beveit genuzav. The tears shed at the passing of an adam kasher are so precious in the eyes of God that God counts each of them and stores each of them in a treasure house. Our sages did not use the expression Adam Chashuv, an important man, or Adam Gadol, a great man. Instead, our sages coined a most unusual phrase, Adam Kasher, a term virtually impossible to translate into English or any other language. We know what the word kasher means when it is applied to food. However, what does the term kasher mean when it's applied to a person? What sort of a man did our sages have in mind when they said that God's self, mourns the passing of an Adam kasher? When the term kasher is applied to a person, it seems to mean a man of integrity, a good man, a man of peace, a gentleman, a man who lives in the spirit of Judaism, a life of closeness to family, to community service, to reverence for God. And I believe that Leonard S. Simon was such a person, an Adam Kasher. Because as we reflect on the years and review the life, as we heard of this Adam Kasher, this good, honest, helpful, big-hearted, and generous person, we feel compelled to shed a tear at his departure. We can find comfort in knowing that these tears are so precious in the sight of God Almighty that God will count them and store them in God's treasure house. He was peaceful, gentle, big-hearted. His Hebrew name said it all. Shalom Leib. Perfectly fitting his personality and his character. He was also compassionate and patient, and family was central to him. He was born 3 blocks away from this sanctuary. He grew up on St. Gabriel Drive here in Rochester. He attended Monroe High School and a military school. He liked the uniform, but he never served in a war. He was one of 3 children. He was the middle child. He was the peacemaker between the other 2. Unfortunately, his sister died at age 42, and his younger brother at age 57. Elaine and Len found each other, as it was said before, at the University of Michigan. That was the orientation week. And you saw each other and you went out on a blind date. You graduated the same year. Leonard was accepted into the engineering school to become an industrial engineer. And in the second semester, you found each other again with different friends. But you said, it was so nice to see you, Leonard, again. And he called you that week, and the rest are 71 years and 8 months of relationship, of marriage. Yes, you were born in August of 1953. Both your family and the Germanau family, where Leonard began working, his father company, are families that were active and strong members of Temple Bethel. So he returned in 1955 to the family business, which became his life. The Germanaus and Simons eventually became related to one another. And Leonard's company invented several important plastic devices and adhesives that were sold, and continue to be sold worldwide. You said, Elaine, that the company was Leonard's first love. But in reality, it was a combination of things. Kathy still works at GS Precision Optical Devices and Adhesives and continues the work of the family. And the family members also work in the company. And one of Leonard's joys was to take the grandchildren to see the plant, right? And for them to pick up whatever molted plastic scrap was on the floor. And I'm sure they have those examples and samples in their own homes. His working ethic and his interest in continue working was such that he was working until a couple of weeks ago. And until COVID came, he went to the office every day. He was instrumental in developing new horizons for plastic objects, for airplanes, binoculars, lenses, a variety of things. He had that vision that if something was going out of style, he needed to reinvent himself and the company. As a father, he came home every day for dinner, every night. He loved helping you with your studies, and he was patient about that. He was very good in math and other things. But he enjoyed very much the trips to different places of the world with the family. You spoke about the beautiful photography he did, and the pictures he sent around Rosh Hashanah. He enjoyed sports, watching and playing. He gave up golf because it took too long. He was playing 3 or 4 times a week. He replaced that with tennis, just shorter service. He brought home stamps from all over the world as the company traded with some different places. And the children enjoy that. As we said, he loved to travel, but it was Elaine, the one who got him to love to travel. We have to be honest about that. They adore the cottage by the lake, as we heard from the grandchildren. He enjoyed pottering. He cherished long trips, as we said, and the family went in a all-country trip in 1972. But he also took phone calls from customers as he was traveling around. Even when they went to Europe and Israel, Leonard took the time to speak to his customers. He mixed business and pleasure beautifully. It worked for him and his family. Only in Cabo San Lucas, he was unable to make phone calls at the beginning. But later on, things changed. He was involved with the community. Temple Bethel, UJA, JFS. After the Six-Day War, the family, Elaine and him, traveled to Israel, spent time in a fantastic mission all the way to Konetra. Member of the opera here in town, loved the arts, sponsored the arts, was a very complete, well-rounded human being. He would like to be remembered, though, as a sweet man with a lovely smile and being a true gentleman. He would open the door for you. He will help you with your coat, putting on your shoulders. He possessed an extraordinary ability to be kind to others, and also an extraordinary ability and skill to pay attention to details and thoughtfully solve problems. He was analytical. He approached even the simplest things with extreme care. He was a father. Jonathan said this yesterday, that it was present, that you could call on and rely upon. He found time to spend with you. Never stay late at the office. And at home, he was dedicated to UJA. He was making phone calls for a long time, 30 people to call, committed to his community. He was amazing and loved sports, especially those at University of Michigan. He spent time at dinner table asking each one of his children how the day had been different that day. He was a great listener. Deeply committed to Judaism, he took serious the B'nai Mitzvah of his children. He brought them to shul weekdays, and it's true, sometimes he'd drop them off on Shabbat morning. But here was Grandma to be visited with. You enjoy, I hope, coming to shul. To Elaine, to Jonathan, to Kathy, to Jennifer, to Liz, to Karen, to Aaron, to Mark, to Stephen, to Noah, to Savannah, to Alex, to Pamela, to Molly, to Eda, to Jacob, to Michael, to Jesse, to Benjamin, to Adina, to Zoe, to Eden, and to Aviva, and to Eli. We say Leonard Simon lived a full life, well lived. And for those who have lived fully, death is not to be looked upon with fear, but rather to be accepted with equanimity, coming as a natural close of a long and good life, just as the sunset is the natural close of the day. When the sun sets, the sky is filled with a spectacular brilliance of multicolored light. These incredibly beautiful colors are the day's afterglow. And in a profound sense, those who have departed this world leave behind them an afterglow which can warm the hearts and brighten the lives of those who knew them and loved them. Yes, the son of Shalom Leib ben Yehuda Ve'ita Slata has set. But he has left behind an afterglow of memories of an Adam Kasher, the man that was impeccable, that will continue to warm the hearts of his family and of his friends and community. His light and warmth have not vanished, for his spirit and influence will live on, and the afterglow will be enjoyable by all of us. May the soul of Shalom Leib ben Yehuda v'ita slata, be bound up in the bond of life eternal. And let us say all together, Amen. It is now my honor to invite Cantor Liz Berkey to join me up here for Kilmale Rachamim. We ask the congregation to kindly rise. Before that, my mistake, we have a poem that Jennifer will read. And then, so you be seated for the poem. I apologize. It's good exercise. And then Cantor will sing Kilmale. Go ahead.
I love you, Dad. I want to read you and everyone here a poem that Mom selected. And I hope I can do it justice. And I know you will be patient with me as you always have been. When Great Trees Fall by Maya Angelou. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory, suddenly sharpened, examines, gnaws unkind words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration, our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us, they existed, they existed. We can be and be better, for they existed.
Kindly arise for Kilmale Rachamim.
I have our mother's permission to start the prayer in this way, musically. You may recognize this melody.
תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת שלום לב בן יהודה בתזלתה שהלך לעולמו בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו. אנא בעל הרחמים, אז תראהו בסדר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו, ינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר